Photography as an art form is not an exact science. Most of my photography philosophy comes from working in the film industry and being a cinephile, a devotee of motion pictures and cinema. So when I decided to dedicate my time and energy to learn photography, I already had a vision of what type of images I wanted to capture, what type of photographer I wanted to be. Some of you have asked and are wondering about my straight photography philosophy, my shooting style, and process, so I'd like to take a moment to share those things with you today. Hi, welcome back. If you're new here, my name is Jorge. On this channel we talk about photography and filmmaking. We merge creativity and productivity to live a fulfilling life. In previous videos, I have talked about finding your style versus choosing your style. I have talked about my settings for street photography and showed you how to set up your camera as well. But since this is a frequent topic, I think it's better to compile all the information in a single video that I can point people to and hopefully answer your questions and help others out there as well. So today we're talking about my straight photography philosophy, my shooting setup, my shooting process, my values, and the reasoning behind it as well. Let's get started. I worked in the film industry for several years, working on set on larger budget films and also making my own short films whenever I had the chance. Film sets have control environments where you can perfectly craft the image that you want. You can shape the light and the performances for the benefit of the final picture. However, street photography is completely different. You have no control of the lighting, of the weather, or your subjects. But I still wanted to try to make my photographs look like a frame from a movie. And that is just a personal goal that I have, that's just what makes me happy. Some people might suggest focusing on the subjects first, or the environment first, as you learn and progress your craft. And that is valid, that's a good way to learn. But in my case, I'm always trying to block a scene, craft a little story with every photograph, focusing on both the character and the environment. Just like film director Alfonso Cuarón says.
Another reason for the long takes is something that Chivo and I we've been exploring for our last films. That is the relationship between character and environment. When you do close-ups, you favor character. When you go wide, you favor environment. And we want to try to keep a balance in real time.
For me, this means constantly moving and exploring, truly observing your environment and searching for moments. Dedicating a lot of time to walk around and explore, find new places, meet new people, learn something new. It also means finding a spot that you really like. Maybe it's the composition, or maybe it's the lighting, and waiting for the right moment, waiting for subjects to walk into your frame. This is very time consuming, and it only works when you know what you want to achieve, but it does work. But I'm not here to tell you which way is better, which way is correct, or which way should you choose. That is just food for thought. However, regardless of which method you prefer, you need to be ready, and you need to have control over your tools. I shoot mostly in manual mode, let's say 80% of the time. The other 20% of the time is aperture priority mode. I don't use autofocus at all, back button focus only. Back button focusing allows you to press the button and focus on a particular spot. And then when you press the shutter, the camera does not hunt. The camera does not try to think for you, it just takes the shot, or as many shots as your buffer allows. And I can tell you, from experience, that after you mastered it, back button focusing can be faster than autofocusing. Hoping that the camera focuses on the right spot in time and gets it right, it's not fun in my opinion. Your camera is just a tool. It is not sentient, it doesn't know what you want to achieve or what you want to capture. It is our job to tell the camera what to focus on, and it's our job to tell the camera what to expose for. Keep that in mind. I shoot both RAW and JPEG, but I never use the RAW files. I always use the JPEGs and I try to get as close as possible to the look that I want in camera. And this minimizes the work done in post. You still have to edit your files, but significantly less than if you shoot in RAW. And I know it's not for everybody, but shooting in manual mode and JPEG only makes you accountable. When you make a mistake and you cannot magically fix it in post, you will never forget that mistake. It can be a bit of a painful way to learn, but learning manual mode will guarantee that you know exactly what to do with the camera, no matter what. Make sure you put in the time and effort to learn the technical aspects of the craft. Take control of the tools you have available to you. That's the best way to be able to react accordingly and capture moments in time. And precisely because of these reasons, I shoot mostly on Fujifilm cameras. I like the manual dials. I like the simple minimalist aspect. I like how small and compact they are. I hate navigating menus, and I prefer rangefinder style cameras. So yeah, these do the trick for me, but any current, somewhat modern camera will give you great results if you know how to use them. Street photography requires being spontaneous. It has an element of surprise, if you will. But randomly changing my mind mid-shooting and not having a clear idea of what I want and what I like does not work for me. I do have goals that I think about before I start shooting, and I try to stick to those goals for the most part. For example, shooting black and white the entire day and not switching to color simulations, or not shooting in color and then drag and drop a black and white preset to the photo, or choosing a single lens for the entire day to get really accustomed to that focal length and get the best of it and see the world from a different perspective. On the other hand, we have to remind ourselves that this is not math. Always leave room for exploration, be open for new moments to present themselves to you, and be ready and have control over your tools. So whether you're trying a new black and white film stock, or playing with a disposable camera and experimenting, or dedicating yourself to a new focal length or a new lens you just bought not long ago, always ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to achieve? I'm completely against photographers that try to shove cameras on people's faces and behave as disrespectfully as possible, almost as a game of how far can you push it before conflict inevitably occurs. And there are a lot of people encouraging that sort of behavior. But when you really think about it and you really break it down, it comes down to your values and your preferences. You see, being disrespectful and then try to wash your hands when somebody confronts you and just say, "This is street photography," is the dumbest thing you can do. It really is a reflection on who you are and what your values are. I've used this example before, but it's like going on a date and the person treats the waiter like trash. Or somebody you know is vindictive towards people they don't like. It's clear what their values are, and it's clear that it's only a matter of time before they treat you like trash. It's only a matter of time before they change you from friend to foe and are vindictive towards you. In my everyday carry video, I mentioned that I carry photo prints and a sample of my photo book with me every time that I go out and take photos. It helps with potential confrontation when people come up to you and say, "Why did you take my photo?" or ask you to delete it. And more often than not, when I show them my work, it really just diffuses the situation. It reassures them that I'm not some sort of crazy person or a psycho taking photos of them or a stalker. I'm just an artist, a photographer. And now the conversation changes from a confrontation to perhaps a compliment. Perhaps they like my photos. Perhaps they ask me questions of where I've been, all the places that I visited, cool things that I've seen. It diffuses the situation. And this is not a magical solution, it's not a guaranteed thing. Sometimes people will still ask you to delete the photo, or at least avoid them and not take photos of them, and that is completely fine. I'd rather do that than avoid ruining somebody's day or ruining my own day. The more countries you visit, the more cultures you experience, and the more places you've been, the more forgiving you're about it. At the end of the day, remember that everyone, yourself included, deserves respect. So now you know, that is my street photography philosophy. Hopefully this can help you get started, or at least see things from a different perspective, because change is inevitable. As always, I'm curious to know, what do you think? What is your process? What is your photography or filmmaking philosophy? Share your thoughts in a comment down below. But that is it for today's video. If you found this video helpful or valuable, please like and subscribe, follow me on Instagram, and join my free newsletter as well. Thank you very much for watching, for giving me your time and your energy, and good luck with your creative process.